Respected Professor Armstrong, respected Ayya and the delegates to the symposium, professors, members of the faculty, and all the students from different educational institutions. It's really a wonderful opportunity. National Symposium to commemorate the eventful centenary of the self-respect movement, the contribution of the late Periyar to that movement, and the legacy of the Dravidian. I thank the organizers for having invited me to address this artist gathering, and also for the prestigious opportunity to share my views, to tell you how Periyar transformed our ways of life, our thinking, and our approach, and how his self-respect movement brought progress, development, and dignity into our lives.
Okay.
It will not be out of place if I tell you
yes.
a fact
Okay.
that I am not the original Periyarist. In fact, I belong to a different school. I will not object if you call it as your opposite camp. I am a born, brought up congressman, and Tade Periyar was once the president of the Tamil Nadu Congress Committee. He was also the worst critic of the Congress Party. Yesterday, I had an opportunity to address the students at the Crescent University to inaugurate a food club. And having come home, the whole night I could not sleep. I had breathing problem. And in the morning, I was just thinking that to dial Professor Armstrong number and tell him, Professor, you have to please excuse me. And also send a message to my friend Raja that I am not able to attend the symposium today, that you have to excuse me. Then 1 minute, I thought for a while. I thought about Periyar. The old grand man, with all his bodily deficiencies and arguments, and most of the tool he undertook, he was running temperature. And often he had bad stomach, vomiting. And see the condition of the man with hernia, how to carry nearly 3 to 5 kilos between his thighs. And every drop of urine has to come out from a needle. And whenever he climbs the stage, the needle, the brick of the needle will give him hell of a pain. And he never cared for all those things. He never cared for his dress. He never cared whether all his buttons are properly placed, whether his shirts are properly ironed. And he never cared that when a bucket of urine was placed near him, and the whole meeting he was addressing with urine was trickling down in the bucket, and he never bothered about it. He never thought that people would want him to think of. Just imagine a small hole, a kind of little breathing difficulty. I was thinking of avoiding a symposium. But see the old grand man with so much of agony and pain, bodily pain, till the last moment of his life, he was traveling, he was propagating, and never put his arms down till he breathes last. And the doctor who treated him from Melbourne CMC, the question was asked to that gentleman, how is the health of Periyar? The doctor replied, a fully worn out, broken down clock, but always shows the right time. And then I was induced by our K.Veeramani. He had recently undergone a surgery, and I thought he would take minimum 3 months rest after the surgery. But I was surprised to see, without 10 days, he was again on his stool, speaking for hours together, because I used to read Better Life, and I read his article, his tour program, his articles. So this is the fight. And the beauty is, about Periyar, in the 19th century and 20th century, so many great leaders fought for social rights, social justice. Tandai Periyar from Tamil Nadu, Baba Sahib Dr. Ambedkar from Maharashtra, Jyotibai Phule from Maharashtra, Narayana Guru from Kerala, Ayyankari from Kerala. And you should understand what all these leaders, the great stalwarts, they all belong to the suppressed and the depressed castes and communities. But Periyar belonged to an elite Vaishnavite family. He never faced untouchability in his life. Whereas all those leaders, they themselves have tasted the humility, the shame of caste pride. Whereas Periyar, never in his life, he had to face all those bad moments in his life. Then, what made Periyar to stand up and fight for these people? His community never suffered humility. He never suffered disgrace. But the man was never willing to settle down unless and until the last man in the homeland gets his due self-respect. He never compromised. He refused to be convinced. And whenever I read his life story, I read his speeches and writings, somehow, YouTube, I saw a one video. One big lion bounced upon a bison, and there are 100, 200 bison standing outside, all strong, tall, and sturdy. The single lion the finest moment came. One tall bison came. It rose up. It got all its energy and strength. It just as ran towards the lion, pushed it outside, threw it 30 meters, 40 meters, then all the bisons joined together. That is how Periyar made the people of Tamil Nadu to rise up and fight for it. And he was initially a social activist, a member of the civil society. He was not inclined to politics. He was just managing the affairs of the trade and commerce and the household affairs. He was the chairman of the local temple trust board, and he was a magistrate. He was a member of the income tax advisory committee or something like that. And he was taken aback when he came to know about Mahatma Gandhi. So he joined the Mahatma movement. For Periyar, it was never a hit and run case. Whatever it takes, it is 100%. And Periyar was the ardent follower of Mahatma Gandhi. Was willing to obey the orders of Mahatma Gandhi to any extent. Not only the legend, Tandai Periyar, but also his wife, his sisters, the entire family, all of them were ardent followers of Mahatma Gandhi. When the toddy shops were boycotted, and when Periyar's wife and his sister, they went and staged a dharma before the toddy shop, and they got arrested. And Gandhi was 2000 miles away. And people went and asked, will you stop the toddy boycotting movement? It becomes nasty. Gandhi said, it is not in my hands. It is left to two women in Europe, and they have to decide whether the movement is to be stopped or not. That was the proximity of the family to Mahatma Gandhi. And I remember during a drought in my place, my grandfather, a horticulturist and agriculturist, one fine morning, all the coconut trees withered away, no water. He planted it, he groomed it, they were all in the yielding stage. And my grandfather could not put up with the sight of those trees standing, burn out, withering. And I remember he didn't take his food for 3 days. That was the attachment he had to the trees he has raised. But you know, this great man, he voluntarily went to the coconut garden. He cut all the 500 trees standing there, all yielding, all revenue generating. He never cared because of Mahatma Gandhi ordered, I obey. There is no questions asked. And why such a man, who is such a strong follower of Mahatma Gandhi, why he became a worst critic of Mahatma Gandhi? That is the transformation. That is where Periyar stands alone. In those days, Mahatma was the greatest leader. As people say, if he stands, that is a public meeting. If he walks, that is a procession. If the train goes, the railway stations are full. Such an honor, such a charismatic leader, and no soul on Indian earth would dare enough to question the greatness of Mahatma. But this man questioned. This man was dare enough to question. And asked, when he said, when there were disputes between caste Hindus and scheduled caste people about sharing a public well, Periyar wrote to Gandhiji what I should do. And Gandhi replied, I will send you money. You dig a well separately for the scheduled caste people. I will also send money. You build a separate temple for the scheduled caste. But Periyar told, if that is the fate of these people, better let them not drink water, let them starve and die. That is the answer Periyar gave. The whole journey, 1923, 1924, 1925, 1926. Very important years. 1923 Vaikam movement. The Vaikam movement, the whole Vaikam movement was about to whistle out. The leaders of Kerala could not carry out the agitation. They were in panic. They thought that they could not stand the onslaught of the Maharaja and the threats of the upper caste people. So they thought that to stand up and fight, we need a great captain, and only Periyar can do that. So he invited Periyar for the movement. He goes all the way. And he became the face of the agitation. That is why they called him as the Vaikam Veeramani. And the simple question he asked all congressmen, if the simplest freedom a man can enjoy, what is the simplest freedom a man can enjoy? Walking on the public street. That is the simplest freedom. And I request my students just to think of your days where your fathers and grandfathers and great grandfathers were not able to walk, could not walk in public streets. And if they walk, they will be called, penalized, and put into prison. That was one stage. And Periyar raised a question which anybody will understand. He said, the dogs walk on the street, the pigs walk on the street, the cats walk on the street. Why not you, man? Is he not a better creature to all those people who got belief in spiritualism, who got great sages and gurus? He just asked, you allow dogs to walk, you allow pigs to walk, you allow cats to walk, but why don't you allow men to walk? That question went and echoed throughout Kerala, and a big mass movement was built up. And the Maharaja and his government could not stand up. And he got the freedom for the Kerala people to walk on the streets. That is his first victory. He didn't belong to Kerala. But he got this freedom for the entire humanity. And Ayya was also telling about Sharma Devi Gurukulam. Vaveshwaya, a great freedom fighter, a great Gandhian. But the Tamil Nadu Congress Committee gives 10,000 rupees for the Gurukulam to sustain and to maintain its affairs. When Periyar went there for the working committee, he found there are two halls separately. In one hall, the upper caste, Brahmin students were asked to sit and they were served food. And the other hall, non-Brahmin students were asked to sit and took food. And Periyar asked the other Tamil Nadu Congress Committee, working committee meeting, if students cannot sit side by side and eat the food that is served by the ashram, which is funded by the Congress party, what is the meaning of Swaraj? If the Swaraj doesn't give that freedom to sit and eat equally with the caste Hindus, I don't see there is any meaning in the political freedom. That was the question I asked. And then that is the last thing that broke the camel's back. Periyar decided no more traveling with the Congress party. He was very clear about it. when all other leaders, from Mahatma Gandhi to all the grand galaxy of freedom movement leaders, including the leaders of the communist movement, they all thought that political freedom is the priority, is the first choice. But Periyar said no. Periyar said, without social freedom, your political freedom is meaningless. He said, it is a needle without a knife. The very same word he used. And he decided to fight the Congress. And I will not blame all congressmen. Most of the congressmen didn't understand what was really going inside the Congress leadership. Periyar exposed the Congress party. There are 11 elected All India Congress Committee members. I am an elected member now. All the 11 belong to upper caste. Periyar appeals to the Congress cadre. And even he went to the extent of identifying Chakra Chettiar. I don't know how many of you have heard about Chakra Chettiar. Such a strong, committed, stalwart, a trade union leader. And 2 years back, I had an occasion to address the Christian college students. When I was speaking to them, the principal was showing old records of the college, and I found Chakra Chettiar's name there. Chakra Chettiar was a student union president, and the Governor General came to the Christian college, and he was asked to welcome the Governor General. The Governor General was astonished to see the flow of language, his English, his command, his vocabulary. And immediately after the meeting was over, he called Chakra Chettiar and said, "Man, you should join the ICS." Chakra Chettiar refused. He said, that was not my cup of tea. And Periyar compared him with B.V. Giri. Both of them are trade union leaders. Both of them coming in the same time. Both of them, I don't underestimate the potential of B.V. Giri. I respect him. But B.V. Giri, to where he had gone, the pinnacle of his career was the President of India. What about Chakra Chettiar? He asked a question. Is it reasonable? Is it justice? I think that such kind of two structures cannot give any meaning to political freedom unless every Indian is treated equally, everybody is given an equal opportunity, and every man has an equal value. I don't think that political freedom is of no use. If that is my choice, I prefer the British Raj. That is a stand of Periyar. For that he never hesitated. And today, we walked 100 years. And every day, I am a believer in God. That's why I said I belong to the opposite camp. And I pray for Aya's health. He should live for another 20, 25 years to guide us, to lead us, to give us strength. Because who is a leader? A leader is one who sees the way, who knows the way, and leads the way. that was the leader Periyar. And every time he had occasions to defend social justice, he never hesitated. When the communal duo, 1950, when the Supreme Court, by a single judgment, threw the communal reservation in the dustbin, and it was very hard to stand up and organized mass protests, announced Hartal. He mobilized thousands and thousands of young men. Everybody was on the road demanding reservation. And Nehru could not understand what is reservation. Because Nehru, he belonged to such a high pedestal. And in those northern part of India, they didn't have much grasp of social justice. Because we were enlightened. And it was Periyar Kamaraj who stood by Tandai Periyar. And they convinced Nehru. And the first amendment was brought. That is why we have the reservation today. And today, Tamil Nadu has become the social justice capital of India, where we have 69% reservation, protected with the 9th schedule of the Constitution, cannot be touched. And subsequently, Kalaignar made reservation for the minorities also. That also has withstood the test of law. Whenever an occasion comes, when the scheduled caste officers invited him for a meeting, he just declared in the High Court, so far, not even a single judge from the scheduled caste community. How many years of the High Court? Hundreds of years. Even after freedom. He made an appeal to the Chief Minister. In the Madras High Court should see a judge from the Dalit community, from the scheduled caste, and immediately Kalaignar put Justice Varadarajan as the High Court judge of Chennai, and subsequently he became the first Dalit judge of the Supreme Court. And a single man army. And whenever my friends, we calculate the life of a man, how long he has lived, I used to say, we have to count his life after his death. After his death, how long he lives? After his death, how long he is relevant? And my dear students and fellow delegates, panelists, Periyar is not a leader of the past. He is a teacher of the present and guide for the future. Before I conclude, I will just invite your attention to a small write-up by Arvind that will give you a picture what happens today. And that will give you a clarity. And what Periyar told in 1926, Ambedkar declared in 1950 in the Constituent Assembly. Periyar said, without social democracy, political democracy is meaningless. And Baba Saheb Dr. Ambedkar presented the draft resolution of the Constitution to the Constituent Assembly for approval. He said, on 26th of 1950, India will awaken into a strange circumstance. where everybody will have one vote. Politically, everybody will have one value. But socially and financially, nobody will have the same value. He said, if without social equality and political equality, if you put up with political freedom alone, one day those people who have been denied the social equality and the financial equality will blow out your political freedom. That is what Baba Sahib Dr. Ambedkar said. And Arvind Roy, he has taken up an article in which he said, what is the current situation prevailing in our society? He says, now caste has been corporatized. He uses the word. Caste has been corporatized. And he says, you see all of the big corporates and see the people who are behind it. And instead of exposing themselves to people that they belong to one particular social strata, they wear the corporate cloak and hide themselves behind these corporations. And the corporations promote caste rivalry not only in India but also wherever Indians are there. This caste rivalry is put forth. That is Arvind Roy says. And says, there is a deadly alloy created by blending Hindu nationalism and corporate interests. In the last 11 to 12 years, it has shaped not just India, but the whole world around us. Just look at it, who these corporates and what caste these families belong to. It is not just Hindu nationalism. It is modernizing and corporatizing caste in that way. It is absolutely shocking. You look at the judges, you look at the media, the ownership. It is like you are running an apartheid society, but it is not color-coded. It has got some other kind of code. What is the aim of this? The aim of this is that those particular castes continue to rule disguised as nationalists, and the wealth continues to be concentrated at the fewer and fewer hands. This is what Arvind Roy said. So, the symposium is well timed. Periyar is still relevant. As long as social inequality is there, we need Periyar. As long as social injustice is there, we need Periyar. And as long as there is two kinds of treatment and two kinds of approach in this country, Periyar is needed. Periyar is needed. I congratulate the University of Madras, Professor Armstrong, and also K.Veeramani, who has been contributing enormously for this movement. I just, used to think about it. But for K.Veeramani, what would have happened to this movement? What would have happened to this movement? Periyar is a great man. How we treat him as a great man, we estimate him as a great man because he has selected a proper disciple to hand over his ideas in the proper time. So, it's a wonderful opportunity. I thank all the delegates. We need Periyar more and more. And Periyar's ideology is the only antidote to fascism. That is how Rahul Gandhi has approved of it. It will come to a full circle. 100 years back, when the Communist leadership was not willing to accept that social justice is the main criterion on which the society should be weighed, measured. 100 years back, Rahul Gandhi, the Congress leader, has openly declared Congress has committed a mistake. We didn't pay much concentration and attention to social justice. And now I feel now, unless and until we pay enough attention to social justice, managing the fascist tendency may not be possible. So that is the light Periyar has given us. And because I am very much happy to see the hall fully packed. So many youngsters who want to know about Periyar, want to spread the message of Periyar. That itself a signal that Periyar will never die. He will live for thousands of years. Thank you.
Sir, thank you so much, sir. You are a fantastic speaker already, but we were very glad we could listen to it now. And I would like to invite Dr. S. Armstrong to kindly felicitate Mr. S. Peter Alphonse. And also to facilitate Mr. R. Balakrishnan Ideas.
Ashwin.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. R. Balakrishnan is a distinguished Indologist with over 35 years of research focusing on the post-Indus migrations and the Harappan cultural legacy. In this enlightening session, Mr. R. Balakrishnan will explore the deep historical and cultural foundations of rational thinking, tracing its roots within South Asian and particularly Tamil civilizational traditions. I now welcome Mr. R. Balakrishnan to present on roots of articulation, the historical and cultural roots of rational thinking.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everybody. Respectful Auxiliary and Mr. Peter Alphonse, Mr. Armstrong. I know that how difficult to talk before
Prince.
Yes, it's going to be lunch hour. I'm going to speak to you. Basically, I will try to be as brief as possible, and also I will respond how you respond to that. Depending on that, I will speak. First, you must have noticed that when everybody talk about Periyar, self-respect movement, Dravidian movement, in this particular conference, I chose to speak about something taking back, to talk about the roots of articulation, the historical and cultural setting for rational thinking. First, I will handle these two words, roots. It's a Tamil, we call it a Veeramani. Then, when I think about it, there is a plant. Plant has got a stem, it has got a tree, has got a bark, and branches, and flower and fruits. And then the greatest we always think that about the banyan tree, Alamara. Then there is also roots. There is also the aerial roots. That's called Veeramani and Vidugal. That means the aerial roots. It's an anatomy of a banyan tree on one side. So ultimately, what holds is basically the roots which is holding. What is the roots? Always we have to think about where this particular ideology starts from, where the thinking coming. And the second word I use is that articulation. Only a few days back we decided this topic, I said to them. Articulation is a Dolgapir will talk how the word is started. He will talk about the articulators point of articulation. That means undi budalai unduvali tondri, therapy. That means where the sound starts. That means where it starts, it's called the point of articulation. The instrument is the articulator. What we articulate is the making sound into words, words into ideas. So that means when the expression is called articulation, ultimately, whether it's a sound or word, then I am trying to say the roots of articulation of the Dravidian ideology or the self-respect, whatever we call it. I am trying to trace that particular roots in the already existing historical and cultural setting of specifically Tamil Nadu and a little more than South India and in greater sense in the Indian subcontinent. Now, this is what I am going to do it in a precious time. Let me tell you, that when we talk about the Dravidian movement or the self-respect movement, what are the key instruments or key aspects of the Dravidian movement for the better self-respect movement? First, I will say important the primacy of education. The primacy of education, education for whom? The education for all. Education for all, that means spread of education and the universal nature of the education is the first point of articulation. That is the beginning, that is the root. So where it starts? Today, Tamil Nadu is the highest GER, General Enrollment Ratio. What country is trying to articulate, achieve by 2035? We have done already long back. We are almost about 45% more than what is the all India average, GER. The number of women who are pursuing PhD and PG are the highest in this country. The number of people who are working in the factory, 45%. 45% of the people who are working in the factory among the women, they are living only in Tamil Nadu. One of the fastest growing economy. So that means the basic is education. So then where it starts, 2000 years back, there is a king. You have to note what is his name. His name is Arya Padai Kadanda Nedinjaliyan. The Nedinjaliyan who crossed the crossover Aryan army, whatever it is, symbolic name could be. But what he said is very important. He says, my government will follow the path shown by the learned and knowledgeable people. Arivudayo Aru Arasum Sellu. My government will go by what a knowledgeable person says. Then who is that knowledgeable person? He asked this question. He says that within the family, normally we say that within the family we always give to the importance to the seniority. Seniority means who born few years before. And the Arya Padai says it's not that. We won't count the number of years as a seniority. Who is educated, who is knowledgeable, he is important. And the society is divided. Already in Sangam age, the four-way division is already started showing its red. He uses the word Vetrumai Therida Narquadulum. That means the four-way division which all of us know. Out of that four-way division, whom you call as the lowest division, if he learns and educates himself, and you consider whom you consider as the highest division, he will go and listen to him. Have you ever heard in India something like this is articulated? Something like this articulated? K.D. Bilichel of Kalvi, Model of Matrayavai, Thiruvallur out of 1330 couplets, he devotes 50. Kalvi, Kallamai, Harikudamai, Pullarivanmai, Kelvi. 50, 5 genre, 50 songs. Unimaginable importance to the education and the education to all of Sangam poets. Okay, now education to women. Minimum something around 31 poets, people, minimum different counts are there, women. Who are these women? Kuromagal Ilaveliniya. A Ilavelini is supposed to be belonging to the Kurobar community. And Vendi Kuyathiya, a girl from the family of the pot makers. Avaya. What they wrote about it? They wrote a very self-expressive love poems. Even today, you write that kind of self-expressive love poem, somebody is going to come to your inbox in Facebook and going to advise you. Don't write it. Someone is going to tell that. Even I don't think that what Nelly Vidya wrote and Appaya wrote and Venni Vidya wrote, even you have the freedom even today. And then somebody is going to advise you. They wrote. Not only they wrote love poems. Appaya, I call the first ambassador of Indian subcontinent. She spoke politics. She goes in between two kings who are going to war.
she talks diplomacy, she manages. So that means this point of articulator, education, self-respect, the same Abhaya. Everybody knows that Adiyaman is close to her. And then he gives a very delicate because what is done, he gets that he will live forever. But that Abhaya are going to meet the in Adiyaman. You know that in the system, most of the time, the people who are the beneficiaries you call or the clients you call in the system, and the people who are giving the service, there will be always a gatekeeper. You call him Taragargal, you can call them brokers, you call them bureaucrats, you call them whatever. They are the gatekeepers, they will stop. And then there is anywhere in India, there are two immortal poems have been written addressing the gatekeepers. The first lady who addressed the gatekeeper is the Abhaya. Abhaya is coming to meet along with her musician and friends and standing in front of the Adiyaman's house. And then she is not being called inside. And then she says that, gatekeeper, have you told that I have come? No, I have told ma'am, he is not calling me. And he says, Vayuloya, oh gatekeeper, oh gatekeeper. Is this Adiyaman does not know I am Abhaya? Is Abhaya does not know who is Adiyaman? Go and tell him, if few philanthropists die, the world will not come to an end. I cannot wait any further. We are all making and packing and we are leaving. Go and tell him, if a son of a woodcutter or a who is working in the wood, if he gets into a forest with a weapon, he will, according to age, he will get some wood or tree. Like that, Ethisai Chelinum, Athisai Sore. I am getting, I am going. He addresses the gatekeeper and tells that whosoever, whichever direction you travel, there is a food. Forget about it. I cannot wait. This is what called self-respect. This is not called, it is an antithesis to animal virtanam, what we call the bootlicking. The bootlicking habit is a voice against bootlicking, your voice against sycophancy. That means this is what I call it an articulation. Okay, you tell, then you come to the another aspect of the what I mentioned about the education for all, universal education. I probably what I consider that to be the first official education policy ever announced by any government. Forget about pre education policy now. And 2200 years back, and they circumtext and made that kind of policy. Then women role of the women, and then universal education I mentioned about it, and then this ability to ask questions. Do you know that what is the important element of the self-respect movement? The ability to ask a question. The same Vayuloya, he later on repeated by Kannagi. Two characters, whether you agree with the Kannagi story or not, Kannagi and Manimegalai talks about the societal issues. They got their own personal issues. Manimegalai talks about the society where all the basic needs are taken care of, food, everything, and there is also a society without a crime, a society without a jail. That is what Manimegalai is talking about it. So that means a society where the women were trained or enabled or empowered to ask questions. Okay, what is the beginning of it? This is at least Kannagi is a great daughter of a great merchant. Manimegalai is a daughter of a Madhavi. But there is an unknown female, unknown girl who is a friend of a heroine. She is asking a question. Whom she is asking a question? Let me tell you a small narrative. In Sangam literature, there is a song. A girl falling in love with another boy. Okay, this family does not know. Mother doesn't know. Father doesn't know. She is not properly eating. She is looking here and there. She is little becoming anemic. And then people are noticing that there is a change. That doesn't he become growing and that is anemic and all. So they feel that they probably some Kattu or the Karupu, you know, that the ghost or some kind of spirit has befallen her, and then that is the reason she is actually something like that. I don't know. India I have traveled. The people come with a spirit maker, something like a Pusari type of person. He comes and handle that particular possessed person. He is called Periyar. So the mother is calling the Velan, who is going to call very often Murugan, Lord Murugan. And Lord Murugan will get into that Velan who is representing, and he will become possessed. Okay, I have seen this in Chhattisgarh and Orissa personally, how that possession will take place and all. Then he will become very arrogant. Then he will come and tell, oh, which place he got possessed. And then he will tell the name of the spirit and they will handle that. And then this girl's friends is worried. Okay, these guys are called the witch doctor and all. And they may end up getting her married to somebody else. It is my duty to tell the truth. Then it's too late. It's called Arathodu literal. She has to tell the truth. Now she is questioning. A point has come, the drama has come. Mother is there, relatives are there, witch doctor has come. He is the spirit holder, he is going to possess. Murugan is going to arrive into her place. He is going to tell she is possessed by such and such thing. Now this girl's friend is telling, he is addressing Lord Muruga. Lord Muruga, if you are a god, you know very well, you are not responsible for her sickness. She is having a love sick or whatever it is. See, you are not responsible for her condition. But this guy, he may do anything for, if you give him some good non-vegetarian, they cut the kind of goat and give it to as a kind of sacrifice. And this fellow was called. Because of this fellow was called, in spite of being a God Almighty, you have come. If but you know very well that you are not responsible for it. If you have come and been called by him, even if you are a God, you are a fool. That means something like him saying that Kadavul Aginum Ahe, Madavai Mandra Valiya Muruge. Murugani Nalare, Muruga Valiye. Anal, even if you are a God, because this character has called you, and you have come, if you are coming, you are nothing but a fool. This is what the Sangam literature puts in the mouth of an ordinary female, ordinary girl in village. In another song, he says that he has cut the goat and put the kind of what you call the blood in his entire chest. I have seen in Chhattisgarh, something like that. So then he will possess and he will tell who is responsible. And she is very sarcastically asking, you have cut the white goat and put the sandanam and put the blood in your chest. Just I want to know, I am curious to know that whether this blood and sandanam will also touch the chest of that guy who is living in the next hill. Imagine what I mean. Poor fellow, why you come and put the blood and sandanam in your chest? Will it touch the chest of that guy? That means he's saying the truth. This is what called questioning the authority. Questioning the authority, whether it is a god, whether it's a king, whether it's anybody. That means questioning, asking. You tell me another literature in India where people, women have been taught and trained and characterized as a person who asks a question. That's what, whether it is the women empowerment, spread of education, equity. Let me tell you, I tell you one song. Everybody knows that, even I am not telling, I never rise the things, Sangam literature, everything good, nothing like that. In Sangam literature, good will be there, evil will be there, useless poetry will be there, great poetry will be there. But what is the ideology that is standing for? There is a poet actually, I will tell how it is important. Peter and Bones was telling that how Kamraj and Kalaignar, everybody, and Periyar's philosophy, how the resulted in the and then how we are actually consciously guaranteed 69% in Tamil understanding. I am seeing this, but I am reading this particular song. There is a poet. His name is Mangudi Kila. The time is 1:05. Okay, another 5 minutes. Sir. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay. This actually, his name is Mangudi Kila. Kila means landlord. Kila, landlord, Nilakila. He is a landlord of a place called Mangudi. That means he is a landowner, must be a little wealthy guy. And he is making a poet. By that time, everybody knows this four-way division. The four-way division which started in the Gangetic Valley, and then they say Nalvahai Varnam, Jadi Pirivugal, the whole concept of Nalvahai Vedangal, Sadurveda, Sadurvarnam, all this concept has come. This poet is purposely using the number 4. He could use the word number 3 or 5. He uses the number 4 and he tells that if somebody comes and asks me, what are the names of the four flowers? Flowers mean what? You tell me four. This fellow says, Adalaram Tuppu, Kuravu, Talavu, Talavi, Kurundu, Mullai. Adalaram Tuppi, Kuravam is a name he is giving. Talave is giving another name. Kurunde is giving another name. Mullai. Out of this, I can identify Mullai. I don't know anybody else can. Kuravam Malar, Talava Malar, Kurunda Malar, I cannot identify. That means known flower is only Mullai and Tamari is not there. And so Mullaiendre Innaangilavum Poovum Ilaye. Poovum Jona in the Nadu Danda. Then if you ask me what is the four food kinds, four type of food, he is giving a list. Karungal Varage, Irungathi Tinaye, Sirumudi Kolle, Purikilar Abare. Four. One is that Karungal Varage. It's a minor millet. The Varage is Varage. Tinai, again a minor millet. Kollu, na horse gram. They go to Kollu Payman, Kana Pai. That's it's called horse gram. Kollu. Upon the Abare. Abare Eladri, Abarakai, the Abare, no more shake Abare. All the four says he is not telling Arisi. There is Solon. Arisi is already been other sample and very. But if you ask me four names of the four food, I will only tell these four. Okay, now you are going to ask me, tell me the name of the four communities, four people of the land. You tell me four people, tell me the four Kudi clan. He says, Tudiyan, Tudi, Panan, Parayan, Kadamba. Tudiyan, Panan, Parayan, Kadamba, Innaangaladu Kudiyum Ilave. And the Samuga Sangam society, there was a Andanakal, Marayorgal, Vergal, Vanigam Sayum Vanigargal, Ivare Nilavodamai Segira Mangudi Kila. He is not mentioning anyone others. He is telling, if you go to tell me the four, I will tell this four. Okay, if you ask me, who is your God? Unna Temper Munindru Vilangi, Ulivi Yendu Malipin, Kalivi Yendu Vindana, Kanle Paravi Nandati, for our cause, for our welfare. Unna of our man has fought against the enemies, stood against that, and then fought and got killed. And we have set up a stone for him, Nadugal. We worship that man who stood for us. Apart from him, Nelluguttu Paravum Kadavulu Vilave, Neivediyam Sendru, Namal Kumbidugira Innoru Kadavu Illai. 2200 years back, Manguri Maradan. It's a purposeful poetry. I consider this the greatest articulation ever made in this Indian subcontinent. You know why he is taking four, why he is not telling three, why he is not telling five. He wants to drag Nalvagai Vedam, Nalvagai Varnam. He wants to use the four word and tell this is the four, this is the four. He is aware of the paddy, he is aware of the rice, but he doesn't count. He says that we have no God where we will be putting our rice and paddy, but we have the God only our medical. This I consider to be one of the greatest statement. Out of these four God, all this type of thing. Four Chan, Kadamban, Panan, Tudiyan, Parayan. So that means I consider the Mangudi Murder Killer made a 100% reservation for the people of the loyal and the most suppressed people. Probably we have settled down for 69. It's a better, and we are the leaders. But the question remains that it does not mean that nobody else should live. But he makes a statement like this. You go back to anything which forms the foundation of the self-respect movement, which forms the foundation for the Dravidian movement, which actually influenced the thoughts of Periyar. Periyar was not born as a born atheist. I am also not a born atheist. My wife goes to Periyar was going through the glory. And this particular hall, Mr. Peter Alphonse, when he spoke, he says he's wondering about the Austrian, how immediately coming from the hospital he is recovering, how he came and sat in this particular program for the this function. But you must know, after he is coming from the treatment and hospital, the first program he attended is releasing my book, straight from the hospital. I wanted to go to Asiriyar's house because that book is about the Agasthyar. And then, if the book is about the Agasthyar, that has to be released by the Asiriyar only. Because 100 years back, when Agasthyar was brought to the stage, Periyar brought the book of the K.Veeramani. And I was wondering that why, what made the Periyar to do that in 1931, Periyar's Paripama. After that, Asiriyar wrote in this year, again Agasthyar was brought to stage, he says that Agasthyar probably he wrote. And I gave a 2 hours, 15 minutes talk in Chennai, and the talk was converted to a book. I wanted that to be released by Asiriyar. Then I wanted to, I know that he is not well, I was not disturbing, I was not going to hospital. I wanted to go to his house and quietly get it from his hand. But he said that I am coming to the library. And he came and spent time with us and seeing that. So the first program which he attended coming from the hospital is the release of my book about the Agasthyar. I wanted that to be released only by him. Then I am also standing here. I am also standing here because I have been beaten by my teacher when I was doing a 7th standard for having listened to Periyar when he came to Madurai. And I am out of my school during recess period, and there is a library here in Talapuram. And then we are all assembled there, and somebody says that Periyar is coming, he is coming by van, and he is not renting. And I said, Periyar, I never seen him. And so immediately I started listening to him. My friends are all going to the class. I skipped 2 periods. And the teacher was asking that, where is that guy? Sir, he is listening to Periyar. Then I returned in Tamil Nadu. When I returned back by here, the school, they were all looking at me. I said, what's a strange guy and all? He says that, Periyar Yara, and getting. That pain only has brought me. That pain brought me clarity. Periyar Kamarajar asked me to write IAS when I was in 10th standard. I was beaten for listening to Periyar when I was doing 7th standard. I am now, my book is getting, I finally agreed to receive a honorary doctorate degree because it was given by the Periyarmani University, being given by the Asiriyar. And that is the only thing I have ever accepted in my life. And then again, my book is released today. Asiriyar is here. I am talking in this 100th important program. I have been participating. I don't want to take much of time. Like this, if you take any tenets of the Dravidian movement and self-respect, I consider the voice of the voiceless, the voice for the people in the fringes. That means the voice of the voiceless. குரலற்றவர்களின் குரல், குரலற்றவர்களின் குரலாக முடிப்பதே பெரியாரின் கொள்கையாக இருந்திருக்கிறது. அதுவே அவரது நோக்கமாக இருந்திருக்கிறது. அந்த குரலற்றவரின் குரல். Today we are talking about 45% of the women are working in Tamil Nadu, factory people. Go to the Sangam literature. Women who are selling fish, selling salt, selling buttermilk, selling milk, selling toddy, selling arak, Arivin Magalir, Periyar Magalir, and then running a shop in Madurai Kanji. A lady is running a shop till beyond midnight. She is wearing a gold and she is approaching a shop midnight wearing gold and going home. And the women who the home delivered to the regular customer specific eatable items made like a sweetie in Sangam literature, and the was selling toddy and serving, and also a woman who is having a cow and a buffalo and selling milk. She had an idea of buying a gold ornament because of this revolution she made. Suddenly these things that